diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Raw Recovery with Dion Miller. I'm glad that everybody could make it today. During this whole coronavirus thing, I haven't been able to go into studio, but I have plenty of friends and people that want to tell their stories. I really feel like people's stories right now are extremely important. We're all going through something, and this is a we program, and we need to do it together. So a new friend of mine who had met through some online meetings, I've been getting a lot of new friends from online meetings. Michele is joining us today. Hi, Michele. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, Dion. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just enjoying the weather. Make sure my wife has enough space from me. Those sorts of things.
Taking a nap.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, Raw Recovery.
Thank you.
You were nice enough to come on and tell us your story. So why don't we go ahead and get started?
Okay. Thank you for asking, Dion. I'm Michele. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Michele.
This is what happened to me, what it was like,
Great.
what happened, and what it's like now for me, my experience, strength, and hope.
Great.
I was born into a good Irish Catholic family, number 6 of 8 kids, and I might add, alcoholic family. My parents didn't drink. Neither one had much problem with alcohol.
Okay.
However, alcohol surrounded us by my grandfather and his 2 brothers on my dad's side. And my mom had an alcoholic father and a raging alcoholic sister.
Okay.
She was awful to my mother. When we were really little, we thought the things she said were funny, but as we got older, we realized she was just flat out mean, and she was drinking.
Yeah.
So alcohol in my immediate family really had no centerpiece. I mean, it was there, but nobody seemed to drink, nobody was sneaking extra drinks. Dad never asked anything.
Not at your house.
So, right. And when on holidays, they'd let us have, I remember in particular after midnight mass, Christmas.
Sure, yeah.
We'd have a cordial glass of sherry or wine. No big deal. So for a very long time, alcohol did not bother me. However, I do believe I know what set the groundwork. When I was very young, my oldest brother sexually molested me and 2 of my sisters went on for about 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
I was the main target because I was the quietest and probably the most scared of him.
Sure.
He was a big bully. He's 6'5", and to me, he was always 6'5".
Oh yeah.
And this was in the 60s. This was in the 60s. You just never talked about this sort of thing.
That stuff was, those kinds of problems were swept under the rug. We did not deal with those problems. Children are to be seen and not heard. Yep.
Exactly. That was exactly how it was. In fact, my sisters tried to tell my mother, and Mom had a tendency to not want to deal with something that was difficult.
Okay.
It was always Dad's job.
Sure.
So when my 2 older sisters went to Mom, she slapped one of them across the face, told her she was a liar.
Yeah.
Her son would never do that. And unfortunately, I think my parents were a little afraid of Patrick. He was the biggest one.
Yeah.
He towered over even them. So years later, I finally sat down with my dad and told him, and
Okay.
he had told me he suspected
Okay.
that Patrick was doing something.
Okay.
And even in his way, he didn't want to know absolutely the truth until I finally told him.
Sure. Now, by ignoring the problem, isn't that kind of an alcoholic family tendency? Maybe
Yeah.
there wasn't alcohol in the family,
So,
but still some of those actions are
yeah.
there.
So dry drunks.
Yeah. And
Dry drunks.
passing on family trauma.
Yeah.
Our generation really got, us that are a little bit older, we're really trying to make those changes in the family trauma.
Absolutely. And years later, he would do things like I was working and living on my own and doing okay. But he would always insist on, if I went to visit him, his way of kind of making up for what happened would be to insist on paying for my flight.
Ah.
And it's like, Dad, you don't have, no. You tell me how much it was. Okay.
Yeah.
And I do want to make a couple things clear. Number one, I am not a victim. I am a survivor.
Good for you.
Absolutely. I just, my parents did the best they could at that time.
Sure they did. Mm-hmm.
And so my second point is I don't hate them.
No.
I don't resent them.
Yeah.
They both have passed and I miss them dearly, but they did the best they could. They had 8 kids.
Yeah.
And, life wasn't always horrible. We had some good times.
Yeah.
And I was never a bad kid. I never acted out. Probably I isolated. Yeah. I will say, as a result, my first reaction was to isolate and write stories about these fabulous families that I wanted to be in.
Okay.
These perfect families.
Yep.
These beautiful houses that they lived in. We lived in an okay house.
Sure.
But I wanted something better.
Sure.
And I wanted to escape.
Yeah, to live that princess world, that fantasy world. Yep. I did.
I wrote a lot. I made a lot of stories.
Wow.
I even we had to write a story about our house.
Okay.
And for one of my classes. And I completely made it up. Mm-hmm. Well, one of my sisters got a hold of it and showed it to my dad. And he was like, what are you thinking? You can't turn this in. This isn't what our house looks like.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fantasy piece, Dad.
Yeah, sure. But in your head at that age, you did see it that way.
Yeah.
That was your perception. That's
Absolutely.
where you went to be safe. So that was your safe house in a sense.
That's how I dealt with the abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And my other siblings, getting a lot of calls. It's like, people, quit calling me. To my other siblings' credits, boy, they were around as much as they could be. Talk about being in the middle of a life raft.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it had a leak, and he got through once in a while.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what laid the groundwork for me.
Yeah.
It's funny because I don't think of any of my other siblings as alcoholics, but they do. They have that anger. I mean, I have especially the 2 sisters that were also abused. Mm-hmm. They have that alcoholic anger temper.
Yep.
And resentments.
Oh,
wow. Yeah. So, and even with this happening, I really didn't take to alcohol very much. I mean, I went with girlfriends and found a place we could get drunk on Boone's Farm and Annie Green Springs. But it was no big deal. I mean, I walked away from it, didn't really care. So I didn't technically hear the siren of alcohol yet. And even into high school. I mean, I drank at parties, but again, I could walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really until I met my reason to drink, my RTD, my first husband. He was ambitious, kind of cute. And I didn't know, very controlling.
Okay.
And I was weak. I was just a ball of clay to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as we really started dating, he started exerting his will on me. I mean,
yeah.
I'd been working out anyway. I always had a weight problem. Not horrible, but
enough.
so I joined a gym and I lost a lot of weight.
Okay.
He was the first one to notice, and then he expected me to stay at that weight, no matter what. And so he monitored what I ate. He monitored what I wore. He bought me clothes. I never had a boyfriend buy me clothes.
That's weird.
That should, to a non-alcoholic and normal person, that would have been very strange.
Red flags.
Not to me.
No, none of that. Well, you didn't know.
Yeah. No idea.
We're younger and naive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And can I pause for just a moment?
Certainly.
Okay. I just wanted to see you. Okay. So I never really thought about the gifts he bought me.
Okay.
And they were to keep me under control.
Yeah.
Keep me under his thumb. And he would get mad at the smallest things. We'd get into arguments about friends. I even had a really good friend. In fact, by the grace of God in this program, I was able to make amends to, and we're good friends today. It was a male friend of mine from high school.
Okay.
And Kirk told me I couldn't have any male friends.
Okay.
Now, never mind, he had female friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was not allowed to have male friends, and I just dropped this guy like a hot potato with no explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, he never knew what happened. So those are the sort of things that I would do. And I can tell you today, I haven't worn spandex in 20 years. And I don't own a pair of high heel, what they call come fuck me shoes.
Yeah.
Don't have them. They'd probably take my knees out if I did. He really he isolated me. When we finally got married, much to my family's chagrin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my father to give me away, and he looked at me and said, "Michele, are you sure you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Dad, this is my wedding. Of course I do."
Mm-hmm.
So sadly, we did get married.
Okay.
And I think I had to go through this.
Sure.
To peel another layer
mm-hmm.
of experience off. Like I said, Kirk was very ambitious. We moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. We lived there for 7 years. He was an architect, had his master's in architecture, and I grew up in Michigan, Southfield. I don't think I said that. And he went to U of M. He was perfect in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
He began to make me believe that he was better than me.
Mm-hmm.
He made more money than me, of course.
Yeah.
So he was allowed to do whatever he wanted, and I was the housemaid,
mm-hmm.
wife whore.
Yep.
In a nutshell. And my money didn't matter.
Yeah.
If I made a mistake on the checkbook, He wrote a long list of my fuck-ups and made me read them every morning. I was walking on eggshells.
Oh, yeah.
I was also so beaten down.
Um,
I didn't see what he was really doing.
Yeah. Stockholm Syndrome.
What is it called?
Stockholm Syndrome.
Is it? Okay.
That reminds me of it. I don't know if it would actually classify in that, but that's where you're held by a captor, and after a while you begin to develop feelings for that person. And
yeah.
it sounds
and
like it to me. But at the same time, and let's reiterate this, you didn't know any better. In fact, that house that you drew when you were a kid was that dream starting to come true for you, but you were fooled.
Yeah.
But you'll find out later that you turn it into gold. So keep going.
Yeah.
I'll hear what happens.
And so architecture was having a hard time even in Charlotte. So he got laid off. His minor was computers.
Okay.
Apple Computer opened an operation in Charlotte, a call center, technical call center. He got a job. So I was allowed to have friends there, but he was isolating me from my family. We'd go back for visits for Christmas and other holidays, and we would stay with his family. We would see my parents and anybody that happened to be at their house one day. And all the rest of the time was spent with his family because he didn't think my family was worth his time.
Okay.
And hurt them all very much. And hurt me. But I was too chicken to say anything. Everything was my fault. Even when he couldn't think of anything to get mad at me. So I began to drink. And I really started drinking. Yeah.
There it is.
Thankfully, he started. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on so long about that, but he started to travel.
Okay.
And there was my chance to drink.
Yep.
And I took advantage of it. I drank. Wine was my master. That's what I really loved. I tried whiskey. I tried vodka. Actually, vodka. I tried to replace the vodka so he wouldn't know. I put water in there, and he didn't know until he decided to freeze the vodka.
Yeah.
And like a good alcoholic, I denied I knew what happened.
Sure.
And then one day, my higher power spoke to me. My spirit was dying. I was drinking all the time and replacing things, replacing the wine. So he would know it was gone. And I finally looked at myself and thought, what are you doing here? So I divorced him in 2000.
Wow. Okay.
And then my drinking career was all my choice. And by then, I was hooked. And I would drink, the usual, come home and drink because it was a long day at work. Come home because I was in a bad mood. Come home, whatever excuse, any number of excuses just to drink. And I blacked out a few times.
Sure.
So, but I still didn't think I had a problem. And then in 2003, I met Dave Freshman, the true love of my life. And I was surprised. We were talking one night. I mean, we just clicked. And we were talking one night, and I said, listen, we really need to meet in person. Why don't we go for a drink or something? And he said, well, that's great, but I don't drink. And I went,
surprise.
Then he said the most charming thing. He said, doesn't mean I'm not fun.
Yep.
And I went, okay. And so we dated. And really, I laid off the drinking subconsciously, I think, because I didn't want to drink around him.
Sure.
And, like the man in the book that was trying to be successful, decided he wasn't going to drink.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. And I was really good at it.
Yeah.
Until we learned Dave's heart failed.
Yeah.
It was a year after we got married and he was in the hospital. And the doc said, he's going to have a heart transplant.
Mm-hmm.
Well-meaning friends would come over with big jugs of wine and we'd sit and commiserate about Dave's situation. It would be hospital, work, hospital, home for 3 months. That's how my day went. Dave was A1 in the hospital. He couldn't move.
Yep.
We got a call. In fact, this is kind of auspicious because it was today. It was April 8th, and it was in the evening, and it was Easter. I had a glass of wine in my hand. Dave called and said they found a heart. Thankfully, I put that wine down. And actually with a little of resentment of, shit, I can't drink this. I've got to go to the hospital.
That's how, we alcoholics think that way.
So, yeah. I mean, I was excited, but damn, I couldn't drink.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it didn't do it.
So,
it didn't do it in it didn't do it in the way you wanted it to. So.
Right. So I drank. So I didn't drink. So I went to the hospital. It turned out 3:00 in the morning. After all that, 3:00 in the morning, they finally took him down. As you know, his transplant was a success.
Yep.
And that was 2007. April 9th, 2007. It's 13 years tomorrow.
Wow.
And so he was able to get on disability. I was still working at the time. About 4 months later. No, I'm sorry. 7 months later, I lost my job.
Okay.
I worked for an insurance company, and my boss was an ass. And I lost my job.
Okay.
So I had to drink over that. 4 months after that, I found a new career. I had to drink over that. And I started realizing how much I was drinking. What I didn't know is Dave was starting to pray for me because he was watching me drink.
Yep.
But I still wasn't ready to admit I was an alcoholic because Lent of 2008, I decided I'm going to give up drinking for Lent. That's what I'm going to do. How'd that work?
Not this Lent.
I lasted 2. Yeah. Some Lent. Yeah. In the future. Needless to say. But and I knew, by then I really knew there was a problem. I wasn't ready to admit it.
Sure.
It took me another month. We had friends over, late March, had friends over, had a barbecue, 2 big jugs of wine. Of course, among 4 of us, we finished 1 jug. They all left. I was pretty toasted and decided to sit down and watch TV, poured a big glass of wine, of course, and passed out. I didn't know that I had actually blacked out.
Okay.
I didn't know what had happened. Dave woke me up. I'm serious, I had a piece of cheese in my hand. And he said, "Are you going to eat that?" And I just looked at it, and I looked at him, and huh? And he went, "Never mind."
Yep.
And I just stared at that cheese. And I heard God going, "Okay, girl, are you done? Had enough?" And I started to cry. I went back to the bathroom and I was bouncing in our bedroom. We have a short hallway where our closets are. We have 2 closets, one on each side. And I was literally bouncing off the closets. I could not stay straight.
Mm-hmm.
Went into the restroom, came out. I laid down and started to cry. And Dave said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "I need help. I need help." So the next day, March 30th, 2008, went to the Dragon's Den and took my 24-hour chip.
Wow.
Never looked back.
And you just celebrated your birthday.
12 years.
Yep.
And it's a long time, but it doesn't feel like that. And that's one of the great things of this program is you don't feel that length. I mean, because it's work, but it's not work.
Yeah.
You just do the right thing every day.
Uh-huh.
I do service work. I am a secretary for New Directions, which is a Wednesday night meeting at 6.
Wow.
It's a real small meeting.
Uh-huh.
But we have a blast. And I really enjoy it. I do only have one sponsee right now. But I have one sponsee right now who is starting to get it.
Yeah.
When I first met her, she was so full of fear of so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And she today it's a joy to talk to her. She's had that spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Life is fun.
It is fun.
We've gone through a lot of things, and I had a high bottom, but that's not what matters.
Nope.
I'm an alcoholic just like you are or anybody else.
Yeah. See, nobody ever says you can choose your own bottom. You really can. It doesn't matter how far down you've gone. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you choose to do it at that time, it's your choice. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. I do think part of what helped me with the high bottom is I was living with an alcoholic the whole time.
Yeah.
And subconsciously, I know, even when I first realized I was an alcoholic and couldn't drink, and I was ashamed of myself, I still didn't want to drink. I didn't, of course, like every new alcoholic's like, I just want to learn how to drink without getting drunk or getting a DUI or whatever. I mean, I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
But nope, sorry, not going to happen.
Nope.
And I was always okay with that.
Yeah. Not for you and I. Nope.
Yeah. So like I said, life is good today. We have what we need.
Mm-hmm.
We fell down heavily financially, but we've built ourselves back up.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could have done that without the program, without these tools, without helping others. I always have to get out of my head because those squirrels in that cage, they're always waiting for that to open.
Sure they are.
And sometimes I'll just flip that door open and go for it.
Yeah. Today feels like a good day to go crazy. Why not?
Yeah. I haven't done that in a while. Go for it. So
not enough drama. Let's let out the squirrels. So,
but I think that's my story. Have you any other questions?
Well, it is kind of an no, I don't necessarily have questions. It's just, I think and this is why I think everybody's story is important. I mean, you didn't necessarily have an alcoholic family. You had parents that refused to drink because their parents were raging alcoholics. That's probably why they didn't drink. And you kind of had a different life growing up. Most people, I started drinking when I was 9, and from there I joined a gang. you know, and I was
Yeah.
off murdering people, you know, and they have this. But I think the one thing, no matter who it is, we all lose one thing, and that's ourselves. We lo-
Yeah.
we lose
Yes.
God, and that's all that really.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
fantastic. And thank you for being on here today. I appreciate your time.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm glad that you asked me. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. It's been cool because I've been getting to know people a little bit better
Yeah.
since we can't really, you know, we have our
Yeah.
Zoom meetings, but they're not quite the same. So
Yeah.
this
Oh,
one-on-one stuff seems to be pretty cool.
yeah. I would love to hear your story sometime.
Just go listen to the podcast. My stories is
Oh,
there. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's on there. I had a
Okay.
opening one day and told my story. Um, so we're go ahead, bring this to a close. Thank you everybody for coming on and listening, being a part of. You know, I think from this, what we can learn is no matter where you go, what you do, when you make a decision to get sober and that you want help, it's
Mhm.
important that we ask for help. That we don't let what has happened in our past define who we are today. In other words, I don't regret anything that has ever happened to me because I love myself today. And I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for all of that. So, thank you everybody for being here. I love you all. Peace out and have a day.